I really rarely talk about Libs of TikTok because I think that we should just kind of let her be irrelevant. But unfortunately, she is quite influential in the right wing sphere. Libs of TikTok, originally that's, I think, what she was called on Twitter because she was reposting videos of liberal people from TikTok. Oftentimes, she just reposts videos of like, a person who has colorful hair talking about how they have their students in elementary school get to pick their pronouns, and like talking about how most kids pick the same ones every day. Some kids pick different ones sometimes, but they've like normalized it, right? Just very innocent things. Teachers talking about how they introduce these concepts in a child friendly way to the kids in their class. Like, and she is doing it to put a spotlight. Her name is Chaya Raichik, by the way. Like, her actual name, the account is Libs of TikTok. Chaya is the woman who does it. And she has previously been the reason why there have been bomb threats at hospitals. Like, folks have been taking her information about, oh, they're transing the kids at these hospitals. People have been taking her info about that, her intel about that, and her spotlight about that. And they've taken the opportunity to call in bomb threats to these hospitals. It's unclear, whether any of these threats could have been something that someone followed through on. So, everybody has to halt operations kind of no matter what when there's that bomb threat happening. And she has now been hired by an Oklahoma superintendent. She's going to be serving on the Education Library Media Advisory Committee in Oklahoma. Why hasn't someone sued the living hell out of her? I don't know. So apparently there is an Oklahoma culture war obsessed superintendent, and he has appointed professional harasser Chaya Raichik, according to this Rolling Stone article, to the state's Department of Education Library Media Advisory Committee. He released a statement Tuesday saying no one has done more to expose what the radical left is all about than Chaya Raichik and Libs of TikTok. Hers is a powerful voice to protect Oklahoma kids from in schools and woke indoctrination. I'm proud to have her on our team. So she's one of these absolute crazy people who have dedicated their entire online presence to attacking trans people and particularly to attacking trans children. And now she gets to work making decisions for what happens in education in Oklahoma.
Hey, real quick, hit the like button if you're enjoying the content. Hit the subscribe button as well and turn on all notifications. And also take a moment to check out the links in the description for merchandise and Patreon, where you can find exclusive free content.
Rolling Stone says she has no background in education, and she worked as a real estate agent before her rise to prominence online. She directs harassment at teachers, doctors, hospitals, and other individuals who support the rights of the queer community and the need for comprehensive education on issues of race, gender, and sexuality. She is banned on TikTok itself, has also been temporarily suspended from Instagram and Facebook, and to be clear, she has also been temporarily blocked and banned on Twitter, and then Elon Musk deliberately unbans her account. Like, literally, she has special protection against violating the terms of service because Elon Musk happens to agree with the wildly dangerous crap that she's doing. I haven't even looked at there's like the Oklahoma ban that they're trying to pass. I don't even have the capacity for it. Like, we could technically talk about it, but I have so many other things. It's so crazy. I don't know if I have the time. But it's like, yet another insane thing happening in this country. Great. Having previously worked in education, I wish that the news of a partisan propagandist finding a career in education was more shocking. Right, at this point with, who is it, Betsy DeVos? She was clearly she's not in favor of education, but they put her in charge of the Department of Education when Trump was in office. Just deeply partisan. Walters, is that yeah. So the superintendent, Walters, has been, quote, working overtime to try to introduce the influence of extremist right-wing ideologues in Oklahoma's education system. In September, the superintendent announced that the state had agreed to form a, quote, partnership with the right-wing media organization PragerU. Oh, cool. So just like Florida, Oklahoma is now showing PragerU videos in classrooms. They're also trying to, quote, to remove, quote, woke ideology from the state's school libraries. And of course, he does the thing where they equate queer content in general as being. I think that that's like the only way to really address a lot of these state anti-trans things is to pull your business out of them. Like it is. It's so frustrating to me. Like we were talking about Will Ferrell posting the documentary he made about trans people with his friend. It's at the Sundance Music Festival. Well, that's in Utah, which they just introduced, and they ended up changing it, but they tried to start passing a law that would make using the bathroom as a trans person punishable with 6 months of jail. They've taken that part out now, but it was like the most aggressively restrictive and most punishing bathroom bill proposed since this whole mess started in 2016. And there's the like worthy criticism of Will Ferrell of like, why are you like, Sundance is such a huge festival, right? And it's unfortunate for Utah to pass a law like this, because it means that if Sundance Festival continues to be held in Utah, then there are hundreds, potentially thousands of film workers, actors, aspiring directors, like crew members who would not be able to attend and take part in the deeply important, for people's careers, very deeply important gatherings such as Sundance. So this is one of those situations where it's like, as an ally, Will Ferrell, why are you not suggesting that this documentary be debuted somewhere else besides Utah? But Will Ferrell didn't know anything about any trans stuff until his friend came out a couple years ago, so I don't necessarily expect him to know about that, like about the law in Utah or about any of these specific laws, or that it would be the good ally move for him to change that debut, or to say we refuse to do it at Sundance until protections are ensured for trans people in the state of Utah, right? If your main industry event takes place in Florida and you're trans, you're like, I can't legally use the bathrooms there. I'm afraid to even be in public there because it's also like interpersonally more dangerous in those places. So you just lose out on the opportunity to network. You lose out on the opportunity to advance in your field. It's a career stifling thing to have events hosted in those places. So yeah, that's a good point with this Libs of TikTok thing, that like, if you have assets or events happening in Oklahoma, pull them out. You know, it's the only thing. I remember back when Arkansas, the governor in Arkansas was viewing, I thought it was Arkansas, they were talking about passing an anti-trans sports ban and an anti-trans kids getting healthcare ban, and the governor ended up vetoing it because he was like, businesses are already threatening to leave Arkansas, and I can't hurt our economy by doing this. And then he was overridden anyway, I think. Like, the veto was overridden. But symbolically, he said, you know, this would be bad for our economy. It's the only way to convince these people, unless they're the diehards, because plenty of these Republicans are just super, super, super committed to the bit. And they're going to be transphobic, even though that is demonstrably bad for their campaigns. But they will be sometimes convinced to stop doing this if it will hurt their pocketbooks. It's the only thing they care about. So that's the only way that we really meaningfully have to fight back. I honestly think that the economies in these anti-trans states are going to continue to suffer. Like, people are moving away very, very a lot right now, like faster, I think, than usual, moving away from these states that are anti-trans or that are becoming less habitable because of climate change. So those states are going to have fewer and fewer people contributing to their economies, and they're going to continue to underperform, which unfortunately is going to create the economic conditions that do tend to result in poor people signing on to fascism when fascism shows up and gives them a solution to all their problems. So anyway, Chaya Raichik and Superintendent Ryan Walters are both an active danger to any vulnerable children in Oklahoma, particularly LGBTQ children who need support and are going to have the adults who are tasked with their protection actively making their lives worse. Doctors are also leaving as well due to abortion laws, which will make things worse. Yeah, like, if you are not able to even advise your patients, like, that's the law that passed, I think, in Ohio about against like trans youth. One of the things that it creates is a free speech prohibition on doctors even referring their patients or even suggesting that their patients should go. Like, they created this aiding and abetting clause. So if you're a doctor who sees a transgender youth in Ohio and you say, hey, we cannot provide you this care, but I recommend you cross the state lines and seek this care, that would be considered like aiding and abetting a crime, basically. And the doctor could be prosecuted. And it's probably there are similar things. There's like the bounty hunter law thing that happens sometimes with regards to abortion. So yeah, doctors being reported for simply helping, like doctors have to start saying things like, I've heard Colorado is really nice this time of year. Like doctors, actual medical professionals are having to speak in a roundabout fashion like that due to these kind of restrictions on aiding and abetting a crime. 100 years from now, we can tell the tales of the lost underwater state of Louisiana, where the rising oceans combined with pipeline-accelerated coastal erosion somehow gets blamed on New Orleans degeneracy or something. It's gonna be like that one episode of Futurama, where there's just like whole cities of toxic waste created mare people. Got some mare folk.
Hi, thank you so much to all of my patrons, especially Tiago Nascimento, Mersh Rolvag, Amanda B., Michelle Frateroli, Michelle Winter, Wellington Marcus, Danielle McDonald, DZXN, Suzanne Maynard, Spooky Heather Sylvia, Jamie Jam, Pasnell Infinity, Nova, Elizabeth Bartell, Sojo, Sarah A., Athiet, Kevin Young, Celeste, Desi Quiche, Liam Hodgson, Mr. Atheist, and Ella V. Nobody.